MLS with Sam here on Africa Sports Network. I know for some feet don't pass my car. I run up my shower. Alright, week 5 done and dusted. Lot of surprising results. Which of the teams do you think cope better with depth in squad? Looking at the fact that international break was on and the league was on. Alright, here the result at lower.com stadium was a surprising one for you, isn't it? Look at it, 6-1 thrashing of Atlanta United by Columbus Crew. A total of 38 goals was scored in week 5 in the MLS. Can you believe that? Or the heaviest scoreline, 6-1 thrashing of Atlanta United by Columbus Crew, the biggest margin this week. Surprise win of expansion team St. Louis beating Real Salt Lake 4-0 away from St. Louis. What a result that was. And also Sporting Kansas is struggling this season as they were trashed, hammered at home in front of their home fans 4-1 by Seattle Sounders. Welcome to Around the Major League Soccer with Sam right here on Africa Sports Network. Yes, look at the Major League Soccer and one player come to mind. I'm talking about Kai Kamara. Looking at the record he has set in the league, third on the all-time scoring list, and also 140 goals. Yesterday, for Chicago Fire to come from behind to win their game, he scored the final goal, and that should be his goal for the 10th MLS club he had played for. I'm talking about Kai Kamara. We'll come to that in a little bit. Match week 5, that was a test for all the MLS clubs to see who can cope with better depth in sport, because the international break was on and the league was on. So when you look at Atlanta United, they were missing key players when they traveled to Columbus Crew. Absent of several players, Thiago Almeida, Miles Robinson, and 5 other players who were on national assignment. While Columbus Crew have their star striker Gucho Hernandez, who had injury, attacking partner Lucas Lerine away with Armenian national team, and also 3 other players of Columbus Crew were out. But the scoreline was a surprising one, and it tells us a different story. Lower.com stadium, it was Columbus Crew trashed Atlanta United 6-1. And Christian Ramirez, former player for Houston Dynamo, whom they sold to Aberdeen in the Scottish Premier League, came back to the MLS through Columbus Crew. He got a brace in that game against Atlanta United. Christian Ramirez, you can see Christian Ramirez, how he run onto that ball, lash onto it, and poke it home. Christian Ramirez, proven goal scorer in the MLS. No wonder Columbus Crew went for him, brought him back to the Major League Soccer, and that was a great one. And their coach, no other person than Wilfred Nancy, who came from CF de Montreal. Nancy was with CF de Montreal last season, so he is their coach now at lower.com stadium. So Eastern Conference, we have a new tabletop, and that should be New England Revolution after they won their game 2 in this week 5. So after week 5, the dynamics of both conferences change. Alright, let's spice up a little bit here in the studio. Alright, so welcome back to the program. This is still Around the MLS with Sam here on Africa Sports Network. Alright, let's go down to Fort Lauderdale. That 8-year-old Kai Kamara set a new record by scoring for his 10th MLS club. Great player, great player. In fact, I should call him Mr. MLS. He has played for 10 MLS teams. Can you believe that? I'm talking about Kai Kamara. Kai Kamara from Sierra Leone came in through the league in 2006 from Columbus Crew, who drafted him, and he was traded to San Jose Earthquake. So his journey all went through to Houston Dynamo, now back to Sporting Kansas, all went through New England Revolution, went to CF de Montreal, and now back to Chicago Fire, where he is playing for his former teammate Ezra Hendrickson and Kai Kamara played together back in the days at Columbus Crew. So he's a coach of Chicago Fire, and he believed that Kai Kamara is a proven MLS goal scorer. Can you believe that? 140 goals and third on the MLS all-time scoring list, Kai Kamara. You can never write the history of the Major League Soccer without mentioning Kai Kamara. All right, let's go to the game between Orlando City Football Club and Philadelphia Union. Philly Union are kind of giving me a different vibe this season. Looking at their losing streak already, just 5 weeks in the Major League Soccer. Philly Union are 8th in the Western Conference, just 6 points from 5 games. So in that meeting with Orlando City Football Club, it was a meeting of 2 clubs missing several internationals due to the international break. But then Orlando City snapped Philadelphia Union 24 home matches unbeaten streak with a 2-1 win at the Subaru Park. Beating 24 match unbeaten at the Subaru Park was snapped by Orlando in that 2-1 win at Subaru Park. What a record for Orlando City Football Club. All right, so that is still around the MLS with Sam here on Africa Sports Network. All right, back on the home front here at Houston, Texas. Home win over New York City Football Club. What a game that was when you look at the absence of Coco Carrasquilla. And during his pre-match conference, the coach Ben Olsen lamented on the absence of Coco. And even in that game against New York City Football Club, you could see that his services was greatly missed. I mean, his creativity, his incisive pass, picking the pocket, trying to, give those killer passes. All right, so let's look at that event leading to that Amina Bass's penalty kick. You can see that tackle inside the box. And the referee's attention was called by the VAR, and he walked down. You can see him walking down to the pitch side monitor, and 99.9% of most time that the referee has gone to the pitch side monitor, they have always changed their decision. And every fan here at Shared Energy Stadium was expecting nothing less than the referee changing that decision to a penalty kick. And you can see when he said VAR to the sport kick, and that end discussion. And Amina Bassi stepped up and scored that winner for Houston Dynamo. What a game that was at the Shared Energy Stadium. So why is it that MLS can, play with the international soccer calendar? I mean, if there's international break, the league should at least to be on break for, if it is 2 weeks, if it is a weekend, because you will see that the absence of several key players goes a long way to, affect the quality of play in some certain games. Look at Atlanta United. Without Thiago Almeida, Miles Robinson, they were a porous team, just ordinary team. And look at the way Columbus Crew ran riot with a 6-1 home win over Atlanta. Who could believe that? Look at Seattle Sounders, look at Houston Dynamo, look at a lot of things. We are missing several key players. So I think when there is international break, the league should be on break for that period of time.
A really good thing going on there. And they're a good squad, and that's why I'm thrilled that we put on the performance that we did, and we're able to get another win here at home for our fans. And we've talked a lot about being, making sure we protect this place. We know what that means. If you do a good job of winning the home games here, it gives yourself a really good shot at being in the postseason. So to get 2 home games, 6 points, some shutouts, that's a big deal. And to shut that team out on the board, that's a very rare thing to do. They can score. They've got real attacking pieces, real attacking ideas, and I was proud of the group. I thought the subs came in and did a really good job. It wasn't easy. They continued to bring firepower. We got to punish them for how aggressive they were towards the end, and maybe finish them off in the way that we did against Austin. But other than that, I mean, the effort was just,
All right, so that was Ben Olsen, the head coach of Houston Dynamo, in his post-match conference, and that slim one-net home win over New York City Football Club. Like I said, that game didn't really produce much, on both sides. When you look at the numbers that game produced, goals, 1-0 win to Houston Dynamo. On target, Dynamo had only 2 shots on target, and New York City Football Club only 1 shot on target. Off target, Dynamo 6, New York City Football Club 2. When it comes to block shot, Dynamo 1 and New York City Football Club 2. So the game was a little bit, boring and slow. Both teams lacking in cutting edge. But at the end of the day, Amina Bassi stepped up and converted from the spot to give Dynamo a deserved 1-0 home win. And great one. So Houston Dynamo will be on the road once again in week 6. Let's see where they'll be headed to. That will be a very, very strong game for them right there as Houston Dynamo head to San Jose Earthquake. Another away game for Dynamo. But one thing is this: last season, former coach Paulo Nagamura, earned 3 points at San Jose. So it's going to be a great game for Houston Dynamo as they head back on the road against San Jose. Yet to pick a point on the road this season.
Africa Sports Network here at Kennedy Stadium, Houston Dynamo 1. Unfortunately, New York City Football Club yet to score. Let me say yet to score because we are like half the end of the regular time. What do you think about your team tonight?
They try their best, but they can do better.
They can do better.
They can do better. They were not showing like they were trying to do this.
Where do you think they lost this game tonight? Where do you think the game was lost tonight?
I guess lack of the coach, maybe the gameplay. It was a lack of everything.
But before this game, you just see one back-to-back home games, even though they've not won on the road. This season, when they pick a point at Chicago Fire, now they lost a 3 points. Where do you go from here on road games?
Welcome back to the program. This is still Around the MLS with Sam right here on Africa Sports Network. Yes, they're talking about the week 5 matchups in the MLS, done and dusted. The dynamics of both Eastern and Western Conference has been altered. One team that a lot of folks are not paying attention to should be FC Cincinnati. Second in the Eastern Conference, 11 points from 5 games. Yesterday, they held on tight to pick up 3 points in that game. Looking at FC Cincinnati, what do you have to say? And one player stand out for FC Cincinnati. I'm talking about Obinna Nwobodo. In that game against Nashville, hard-fought victory away from home. FC Cincinnati, Vasquez gave them that deserved away win. And Obinna Nwobodo, since his arrival to the MLS, has been phenomenal. When you look at his numbers in 5 games, 5 starts, only 1 substitution, 447 minutes played across 5 games, and you will wonder why they have him on all the time. When you look at his ball distribution skills, Obinna Nwobodo total 235 passes, and out of 235, 197 was successful at 47.3% passes per 90 minutes. So can you beat that statistics of Obinna Nwobodo? An 83.8% success rate in all his passes. So when it comes to false passes, he is there. What about his defensive qualities? Even though he can pass the ball very well, Obinna Nwobodo's defensive qualities is second to none. 60% success rate on his tackles, and he has 9 clearances and 15 interceptions with 1 block. So you will see why Obinna Nwobodo is a pivotal player for FC Cincinnati. 36.8% success rate on duels, and when it comes to area duel, regardless of his height, Obinna Nwobodo is averaging 14.3% success rate. So you cannot beat his contribution to the success of FC Cincinnati. Alright, so when you come to his discipline, when he tackle hard and play very well, you are sure to attract some caution, and he only 10 fouls committed and 1 yellow card to pay for those 10 fouls. So Obinna Nwobodo has been a phenomenal player for FC Cincinnati since his arrival. And I remember in their game against Houston Dynamo, I spoke to the owner of FC Cincinnati. I'm talking about Carl Linde III, and he said, Obinna Nwobodo has provided stability to his team, and what an accolade from the owner of a team. Fucking Kansas up against Seattle Sounders. Alright, Niger boy William Agada's 5th minute strike was not enough for Sporting Kansas to be humiliated at home against Seattle Sounders, as they were pounded 1, 2, 3, 4 goals to 1 in front of their loyal home fans. Yes, looking at that game, William Agada pounced on that, rebounded blocking shot from Sporting Kansas to poke him that goal for Sporting Kansas in the 5th minute. You can see what that goal means to him, the way he looked up to God and yelled all that celebration, but it was cut short as Seattle Sounders Jordan Morris took over the show here at Children's Mercy's Park. Alright, Jordan Morris took over the show in the 54th minute. Look at Jordan Morris inside the 18-yard box unmarked, and Poma, he poked it over. That's 1-1, 54 minutes, and Jordan Morris drew level for Seattle Sounders. And now here comes Jordan Morris in the 69th minute of play. Jordan Morris once again providing that goal, a header, and he popped it in. Jordan Morris for the 2nd time in the 69th minute of that play between Seattle Sounders and Sporting Kansas. Now Jordan Morris one more time in the 76th minute. It's only Jordan Morris, not only you there here. Here comes Jordan Morris again inside the box unmarked, and he headed it down and beat the goalkeeper of Sporting Kansas, and that is the goal number 3. 3 goals to 1 hat-trick for Jordan Morris, and he got the 4th goal for Seattle Sounders to defeat Sporting Kansas 4 goals to 1 at the Children's Mercy's Park. Alright, let's head to the capital of the nation. DC United and Audi Field went down 2-1 to New England Revolution. And here comes Gustavo Boy in the 63rd minute of play for New England Revolution. The shot comes in unmarked, head chest, and boom, Gustavo Boy in his unusual self, cool, calm, and collected. And New England Revolution Bruce Arena smiles from the sidelines. And to complete the win for New England Revs, the set pieces right there for them. A corner kick, an in-swinger, unmarked, and he put it down. Shot from that distance, deflected inside the net. That is the win for New England Revs to snatch a 2-1 road win at Audi Field. Alright, all these wins and all these have changed the dynamics of the table in both East and Western Conference. So let's look at the current standing after week 5. Alright, New England Revolution at top of Eastern Conference, 12 points from 5 games, an average of 2.4 points per game, with FC Cincy second in the Eastern Conference, 11 points from 5 games, average of 2.2 points per game. Atlanta dropped from number 1 to number 3 after they were hammered 6-1 at the Lower.com Stadium by Columbus Crew. So now Atlanta are third in the East, 10 points from 5 games, average of 2 points per game. Last year, winner of the Eastern Conference Championship game, I'm talking about Philadelphia Union, are 8th in the Eastern Conference, 6 points from 5 games, average of 1.2 points per game after they were beaten 2-1 by Orlando City Football Club in week 5. Alright, Chicago Fire got their first 3 points of the season with a 3-2 come from behind win at Inter Miami, and guess who scored the goal? I'm talking about Kai Kamara. So that 3 points propelled Chicago Fire from rock bottom to number 12 in the Eastern Conference as Inter Miami occupied the last playoff position night in the Eastern Conference, 6 points from 5 games. All right, let's cross over to Western Conference. St. Louis City are still powering strong, number 1 in the West on 15 points from 5 games, average of 3 points per game. As you can see, 5 over 5 for St. Louis City. What a record from that expansion team. Seattle Sounders are number 2 in the Western Conference after they picked up 3 points, trashing Sporting Kansas 4-1 at Children's Mercy Park. Jordan Morris was the showman in that showdown between Seattle Sounders and Sporting Kansas. Away from home, Jordan Morris scored 4 goals in that game. With that win, LAFC are third in the Western Conference, 10 points from 5 games, average of 2.5 points per game. FC Minnesota, who are fourth in the Western Conference, drew 1-1 at home in St. Paul against Vancouver Whitecaps. FC Dallas still 5th in the Western Conference, even though they were defeated 2-1 on the road against LAFC, while Austin Football Club, who drew 1-1 against Colorado Rapids at Q2 Stadium, maintained number 6 in the Western Conference. San Jose Earthquake are 7th in the Western Conference. Houston Dynamo picked up 3 points at home against New York City, and they are 8th with Portland Timbers, who are 9th in the Western Conference. So those are the top 9 teams in the Western Conference. While you look for the rock bottom teams, Colorado Rapids, Sporting Kansas still struggling, LA Galaxy, Vancouver, and Real Salt Lake. So with that, we come to the end of today's edition of Around the MLS show with Sam here on Africa Sports Network. I hope you had fun.